Welcome to Strange Tales from Outer Space. I think that's pretty flawless. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I'm still watching it on the stream.
I screwed up. Just.
Timing's impeccable
just-
as it always.
just-
Let me do that one more time. Ready? You say welcome? Okay, fine. Welcome to Strange Tales from Outer Space, episode 51. The five of us are here this week to talk about all the news and views in WildStar Online. If you haven't noticed, I am not alone. Thank you for sticking out your tongue. I have always with us Krug.
Hi, I'm Krug, and I am not
A small child.
a small child. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what to say, but
For the best, really.
Well, acting as a small child and being a small child is two different things entirely.
what
Oh,
is
yes,
this
we'll
for
go
you
in there.
right here? Here you go.
I have Indigo.
I'm not gonna give rude gestures. 'cause I
You
am aware.
brought her. Just saying.
Our special guest this week, Caydiem.
Hi, everybody. I'm Caydiem. I'm a senior game designer on WildStar, for those who don't know.
Yay!
Woo!
Finally.
I keep forgetting to push talk on.
Sorry, I'm super excited about this, and the reason I'm super excited is because we have been talking to Caydiem in chat since I want to say since we started doing the live streams.
Oh, forever, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's super awesome that we finally actually have you on the show. It only took a couple arm twistings, a couple knee breaks.
A few meetings on my part, yeah. It's been a while, but, I'm here. It's great.
Yes, I'm super excited about it.
Oh man,
And
what I would
as a
have
quick
given
one-
to be in those meetings. Yeah, I want to go on
Meeting
Strange
Wednesday?
Tales from Outer Space. What's Strange Tales from Outer Space?
It's
Oh,
this
it's
I
podcast
had
about
to
our
explain
show.
it a couple times. Yeah, it's fine.
It's these three guys with way too much time on their hands.
Right? Apparently.
They really like our show. They really like our stuff. Okay, there's bigger places that we should be going to.
In our building, people. Like, come on.
Multiple
And
times.
obviously, I can't do this one alone this week, so I'm gonna call her Jellybean. Yes, you're Jellybean. I'm not giving you your real name.
She's
So
gonna
someone's gonna
scream
go
it.
play with the play.
She's gonna scream it. I know it.
Oh, yeah.
And there goes her identity forever.
And Krug, how was your week this week?
My week was really good. I've been doing lots of PvP. I mentioned a while ago. Oh, okay. So I mentioned a while ago that I had deleted all my gear on accident. Not all of it. Most of my gear on accident. I'm pretty much back up to where I should be at this point, and it feels so much better. I can actually make a difference in fights and keep people healed through more than falling off of a 2-foot ledge. It's really good. Love PvP again. Because I'm actually a competitor. I also want to tell everybody something, that I changed the Twitter account that I manage. So there's no longer an official Strange Tales Twitter account. That's just my Twitter account now. So the Strange Tales Twitter account changed to Krug QT, which stands for Krug
You finally
Q-times.
killed the. Finally killed the. What was it called? The HAL 3000 of our Twitter account.
Well, Strange Tales still might come and take over, but it's going to be called Krug QT from now on.
It's not disturbing at all.
Right? That's how our Twitter account works.
I fear for all of your
it
Twitter
gains
accounts that have
sentience.
any kind of access to Krug QT.
Every once in a while. So that having been said, you can still get all of your Strange Tales news from the Q-Times Twitter account, which is @_Q-Times. Is that correct, Indigo?
Yes.
Well, there you go. So yeah, go ahead and follow him, which is actually both me and him, and get your Strange Tales news as well as news from all the other Q-Times content that we put out. Doom. I'm done.
Indigo, how was your week this week?
Next person.
So I drove all the way up to San Francisco on Friday. I did a mud run yesterday, and then after the mud run, I did I went to the Winchester Mystery House, and I went through that whole place, and I did the super grand ballroom blah 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 tour, and it was fun. I had a really good time. But the problem is I did a mud run, and then I turned around and then continued to walk some odd miles after that through that building. And so I was a little tired, and then I have been sleeping under a truck. I don't know why I was about to say that. I was sleeping on a couch the last 2 nights, and so I was super sleepy and tired. And then I drove 6 hours back to be back here for this because I really, really, really wanted to be here. It was important to me. I played a lot of WildStar with Krug, but nothing super interesting to talk about. It was just PvP. And this is where Doc would normally go.
Doc
I'm
is...
back.
Sure.
We're back on track. The Winchester Mystery House. That's the one that's haunted, right?
Well, it's the one where
Allegedly.
Yeah. So it's the Winchester family who invented the Winchester repeating rifle. The husband died, and then the wife was like haunted by spirits of all of the people that died from the Winchester rifle because that's what won the West. And so
Revenge.
she was told from a medium that if she had to find a new home and then start building on it, and if she builds on it 24 hours a day, constantly, nonstop, that then the spirits would no longer haunt her. And so that's why she has a crazy amount of like weird ass shit.
If you'd like to learn
For a man
more
that
about the
hates
Winchester
lore,
Mystery
he
House,
loves
please go
history.
anywhere else but here. That's not what we're here to talk about.
Hey, you asked
Welcome to the
question.
Winchester House from outer space. Anyway, more importantly, Caydiem, how was your week this week?
It was a good week. Some of the less fun aspects of game design this week, I made about 140 quests for reasons,
Holy
and
crap.
that was
Just because?
yes. No, there were reasons. There were good reasons, mind you. But yeah, that's a whole lot of data entry and not a lot of using my brain, so it kind of leaked out my ears a little. But I mean, that's how game design goes. Sometimes it's all fun and games and fun ideas, and sometimes I am putting things into a tool for 8 hours a day.
Yeah,
Well, thank you
I'd
for that, because
cry.
that means more quests for us to do, unless
Yep.
you hate daily quests, and then in that case, I have no pity for you. Not you, general you. As for me this week, sorry, I'm a little distracted. I didn't get a chance to play as much WildStar as I wanted to. I was able to get some alt stuff down, and this week I was trying to finish my attunement for world bosses. I've been trying for the last 2 months, off and on, to do it. I finally got a group together. I'm like, yeah, I only need Zoetic. I need Zoetic. Go to Will to Run. We get everybody over there. We kill all the ads. We had Dominion players helping us. There's maybe 30 people. It's Dominion and Exile. We take down Zoetic, and nothing happens. Nothing at all. No achievement. I double checked my log. The achievement is gone, and I'm still at 91%. And I'm done. I'm done. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. Peace. I can't erase both my hands up to have the push to talk on it. I'm just gonna buy a damn key. I'm just gonna buy a pristine key and just be broke for a while.
You're not going to be able to afford it ever.
I'm just stuck. I'm a little frustrated. Other than that, I'm designing and having fun doing that. That was my week this week.
Cool, bro.
Awesome.
So
you know
now
what
that we're on
means?
that, so the strange tales of the week.
Woo!
Yeah.
So first and foremost, we do have a little bit of sombering news. If you have not been paying attention to the shufflings around the game industry, Mike Higgins, which was WildStar's lead animator, and Rob Martin, who was the senior UI designer, have moved on to other opportunities, which is a fancy way of saying they're not here anymore.
Correct. Mike Higgins is now with Riot, and I can't remember where Rob went off to.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think he's mentioned it publicly yet.
Okay, so which it totally sucks, but I mean, Mike Higgins did some awesome stuff. I really love the stuff that he was posting this week of like posting like just random sketches of Chuas and like how much
Yeah.
is like, I'm misdrawing these guys.
Yeah,
Like,
he did a lot of the character in the Chua. If you look at the Chua emotes and like how sad they get when they cry and all that sort of thing, like that's all Mike Higgins. He's amazing. We're totally gonna miss him, but I'm sure he's gonna do awesome stuff at Riot. So
I remember meeting him when we did our walkthrough, and I made the mention that I love the way that they're employing the squash and stretch method of animation to WildStar, which you don't see that often in MMOs anymore. You see it a little bit here and there. But for some reason, everyone just kind of sticks to these rough, stiff, ragged animations, and bringing this kind of Tex Avery quality to the characters, to the world in general, even watching the way the leaves move. I've always been a big fan of, and Indigo's
you're
out.
killing Indigo.
That's all right. If it's not lore, it's animation, and I'm gonna miss that. But I'm glad that whoever comes into Mike Higgins' place can keep that kind
Yeah.
of fun 2D style alive.
And that's the thing about stuff like this. Like, either somebody new will come and take his place and do a really good job, or
Yeah.
somebody new will come and do a really bad job, and then he'll go away too, and then we'll get somebody else that does a good job. Like,
Yeah,
that's
don't despair. We've got a lot of really awesome talented guys still
there,
on WildStar. So
there are
don't worry
tons of
about it.
talented
Time
people
to
out
work
there.
on
So,
my resume.
like, I never would assume or never would say that it's good for somebody to leave, but it's always nice to, have a fresh take on things, and that might lead to some really, really nice, changes that we all appreciate. It's not
There's been a
necessarily
great
just a bad
shift.
thing.
There's been a great shift in the mentality too. I know before we were saying, oh, some people have left, and we're not talking about the 60 people that were let go. But every time you see an MMO someone leaves, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm starting to see that the community is realizing that.
Yeah,
where
it's great.
you have people that start up a project. Then as time goes on, as the project's been established, they will move on to other opportunities. That's what they do. and you have a whole new team that comes out to maintain it. The original team from WoW, not everybody's still there. Only a few people. Yeah. Everyone that's worked on Aeon and everything else, and we're getting into that with WildStar.
Well, just to give you a little bit of insight, I mean, unlike working on normal games, MMOs don't stop, right? Like, they just keep going and going and going. And normally in game design, you have a set end to your project, right? And that's not true with MMOs. It just keeps going forever. And a lot of people find that, you know, they just need a creative switch, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yep. And like I said, with Mike and with Rob, whatever you guys do, if you guys are listening or someone else is listening, congratulations, thank you for all the work you did on this game, and we really hope you guys land on some awesome stuff at Riot and wherever else Rob goes. So
cool.
Let's move on to... Yeah, they are pretty cool. Let's move on to the game notes for this week. We have official game notes.
Yes.
Caydiem, you're welcome to chip in however you'd like to. Obviously, I know you've already seen these things and may contribute to them, so you're probably like, yay, this again.
Hey, I'm happy they're out.
Yay! First and foremost, the Battle for the Basin quest reward and Secure Starcom Basin quest are now actually working as intended. You can finally do Secure Starcom Basin in a raid, and Battle for the Basin is finally giving you credit for the public credit for the event.
A little bit of insight on this. Starcom Basin was designed before contracts were, and we weren't really expecting at first people to come in on huge raids to do the events, and they were originally meant for smaller groups. So, yeah, this ended up being a little different because we had contracts come in, and so obviously we needed to get these switches done. So I'm glad they're finally in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So are we, for sure. So apparently Duck's a little distracted, so we can keep going. Athros no longer trolls you by not transitioning between phases, which, I mean, like, it really never bothered me that much. Like, I've never had a problem killing Athros after getting to level 50. So whether he switches phases or not, whatever.
It was this weird thing where once in a while the phase would take too long or just not happen. So he'd pop away and the 3 little Athros gustlings would come out, or they wouldn't. It'd take forever and a day, and it was just annoying. So I'm glad it's been resolved.
Yeah, cool. So in Daggerstone Pass, the minimap was updated for bomb carriers. The bomb carrier icon was updated on the minimap, which is good. Actually, that thing had disappeared for me a lot recently, and then I started using the stock minimap add-on, and it worked. So I don't know if other people were having issues, but I wasn't. And rating and loot bags are now awarded properly, which, thank you. I like.
Yay!
Not that I ever win Daggerstone Pass, but sure. And this one, and for this change, I will say nana nana boo boo, stick your head in doo doo to the people in this podcast, Doc and Indigo.
Thank you for cleaning the language up.
Whoa!
You told me it wasn't an exploit, and I told you it was. Jump pads in Halls of the Bloodsworn now break CC and prevent CC application for 1.5 seconds.
I am glad the change has come into effect. I still initially didn't believe it was an exploit. I was proven wrong, and I'm glad it was. Yeah,
totally.
I'm wrong, and I'm cool being wrong.
I don't remember, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't remember, like, fighting you saying that it was or was not an exploit. I knew that it was there, and when I first watched it, I didn't think
I'm just
it was.
saying because I want you to be wrong.
I know, that's why.
And yeah, so B-Pulse, stop being a troll.
B-Pulse highlighted the fact that
and remember, we had him on. Yeah. So. We had him on. He specifically said, no, look, I did this and I created the video so that I could show that this was happening to get it fixed. Like, there's a difference between telling someone, hey, there's this problem, and then showing a video where, like, devs can sit there and go, oh, and, like, visually see exactly what's happening. You know what I mean? Like,
it's hugely helpful for us, honestly. Like, if you tell us something and you're like, hey, this quest is broken, we're like, okay.
What's broken about
it? That's great. I would love to fix it. You're going to need to give me more information.
It's like when someone tells Krieg my computer's broken. Okay.
Right, like, we'd love to fix it, but you're going to need to give us information. So having a video like that to just be like, look, this is what I can do. We're like, oh, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, so helps out.
Does somebody want to go over housing?
Doc.
Yeah, so housing Algarok, Malgrave, Northern Wilds, Farside, Grimvault, Wilderrun, they all have biomes in housing. They'll no longer have a cost associated with them.
That's
so
cool.
You can just save a little more gold. It's pretty nice. And the melting pot, if you've been doing the melting pot stuff for the carrot pet, can now be cooled when stirred.
Yay! Okay. Because how many times did we run through that just to get the carrot?
Like 35.
And we had it
Melting
like
pot is my troubled little child.
yeah, and we had it like perfectly timed. Like we sat there and like, all right, you are gonna go over there, you are gonna go over here. We're gonna run in, immediately go for them. Screw the ads, just throw the things in the pot. We'll kill everything at the end, and that way that the pot didn't get too hot at the end. And we were just like running around like crazy, and we did it like I want to say like 50 times. It was
We did it a lot. It was kind of fun, actually, because we were just laughing the whole time.
Melting pot was made on a Saturday with 3 devs in like 8 hours. And
a little insight.
some of us were a little new. It's our troubled child, but it's good that it got fixed.
The best thing I've ever heard. It was made in 8 hours by 3 devs on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You have the truth there. The UI performance fix, stability fix, and trying to complete more with Forge UI hiccups. What is this?
Hiccups? Hew. That's a laugh thing. Buddy.
That is the worst laughter.
They basically stabilized and
Welcome to the
made
internet.
standard stock UI work better, for layman's terms. Basically, everyone's using Forge UI right now, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is better than the standard one." So they said, "Hey, we're gonna fix it, make it better." So you don't use Forge UI as much.
And this is a personal thing. It has nothing to do with like how well it works. It has to do with how clean it looks, and that's the reason why I use Forge, is because there's not a lot of extraneous stuff involved with it, and it's like completely adjustable and movable, and I can do whatever the hell I want with it. Versus,
But
the
that
stock
also
stuff.
begs the question: is that they're both aesthetically pleasing for their own ways. How much can you take away from the stock UI before it just looks like a random grid?
Again, we have Spreadsheet Boy in the group. I'm just
So-
Yeah, Spreadsheet Boy would always have it in boxes if it had his way.
Yeah, dude, you just get squares with the numbers and like graphs that are or lines that are a percentage of what.
Did you hate
things.
fun? Did someone hurt you when you were young?
No, but I do like getting information quickly and accurately. That's what I enjoy, and like less obstructive things that gets me my information more quickly.
And
is something
honestly,
I
this
enjoy.
is how I felt about the game when I first started. I really liked the combat. I really liked the art style. I really liked the look. But when I was using the stock UI, at least at first, it felt like I was in the internet in the 1990s, where it was just like constant pop-ups everywhere, and
You
it was
have
like
mail.
yeah, and it was
Incoming
like
telegraph.
my gaming surface turned from this big where I could see everything down to this because I had this dude trying to give me a quest, and then I had other things popping up. And remember actually Moose just says this, don't forget the beta UI where it was like the pyramid.
Oh, the
and
Pyramid of Doom.
and then you had the quest stuff
Great.
on the right side, and then the group. It
Yeah.
was just like it turned it, and that's why I like Forge, is that I have complete control, and I could just shrink it down as small as I possibly can and out of the way, so I get more space to.
Well, and
to
for what
game.
it's worth, you can shrink and move the stock UI as well,
Yes,
but
Not-
not component by component.
Not to the degree that you can do with Forge. But that's the good thing, because as long as Forge exists, the UI artists and the UI design team are trying to figure out how to best optimize the look of WildStar and keep that look when people do screenshots of their kill confirms. They want it to be as much of the original UI as possible.
yep.
That's fair.
So let's move on. So MMORPG got the first crack at the free-to-play transition details, since E3, I should say.
And
Massive
massive
VOP got some as well.
Which again confuses the hell out of me, because out of all of the websites that talk about WildStar, they are the most negative about WildStar.
I have something to say about that. So I actually got to meet, I believe MJ is her name, Guthrie, at the meet and greet, and I made a comment like that, not disparagingly. I said, hey, I'm very curious that Massive VOP is here, because it seems to be that there's an odd disconnect between the reporting of the game and where the game is. She said, I believe, I'm not taking it out of her mouth, but it was something along the lines of, yeah, we kind of noticed that, so we're going to try something a little bit different. We might have the same guy come back and write more articles, but we're going to have a little more hands-on with the articles and be a little more unbiased with it. So I like the fact that this new article came out, and there seems to be legit conscientiousness to getting the information right and putting it out there in a way that's not like, haha, down or bad, good or bad, either way.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it was just blew me away that it was like, hey, you know who we should give the first strike at something? I know, a website that has been a total dick to us this whole time. But
Look, it's okay to have negative issues with a product.
it is.
As long as you're giving it in a critical way, but you're giving it in a constructive way. Sometimes
Nothing wrong
the
with
issues
criticism.
exactly. sometimes the criticism on this end was a little more negative than it needed to be. And Massive OP has been kind of looking at it going, you know what, we need to be a little more even keeled with it.
So the three of us are from Q Times, and then we have Mog Nation and Wildstar Core in chat. We're all just like, I want first dibs. No, I want dibs. No, me.
I will fight Behalter head on to the battle first crack if I need to.
Except for Behalter's not going to fight. Cav is not Cav. Oh my God!
Well, if we do a beard off, Abby
what's the Mog Nation leader? Oh man,
Cash.
Yeah,
Cash.
He's gonna fight you.
Yeah, and he would.
We should talk about the actual content now, shouldn't we?
Oh yeah, that thing.
Okay, so there's been a bunch of stuff that's been revealed. First and foremost, stats are getting a change. Gone are, for the most part, Moxie and Grit and Brutality. We're going to be having 4 major primary stats. They're going to be Armor, Assault Power, Support Power, and Health. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to be dumbing down everything. They're not striking everything off the table and giving you 4 stats. They're going to be complementing it with the new secondary stats. Cue the pitchforks, cue the fire, cue everything else.
Got it.
Don't do that yet, though.
Oh.
Because we haven't seen anything in action. We haven't gotten any details on these 4 new stats. They gave us an example of where the stats are going to probably go. And the idea behind the stat changes was because a lot of people are coming in and were asking, well, how do I build my Esper versus how do I build my Spellslinger? Well, you need Finesse for your Spellslinger and Moxie for your Esper. Okay, but what if I'm going with Stalker? I need Assault Power. Well, then you want Brutality. But you want Tech for a support power? It kind of gave a lot of players this weird mumble-jumbo that I don't quite agree with, but there was enough where they went, okay, we have to relook at this.
Yeah, so for those of you who are curious, we're going to be having a live stream on the 1st. And we're going to have Stephen Ingle on it, I believe, and he's going to be going more into the stats, and there's going to be an AME and Reddit afterwards. So if you guys are curious about the stats, you have questions about how they're exactly going to work, that's the place to go and ask your questions. I am not a stat designer, so I don't really have a lot
She's a designer. She does all the other cool stuff. The stat stuff is a whole different team. But we do know they did tease us that something like Vigor would show up. There's stats to help complement your game, not make it a mandatory stat. Like, I have to have this much like we do right now with Strike Through soft caps and everything else.
Yeah, really quick, let's talk about Vigor, because I think it gives us an interesting insight as to how the secondary stats are going to work. So Vigor, according to Massively OP, is a stat that will allow players to do more damage the higher their health is. So it kind of incentivizes the healers in your team to keep specific people kind of like pocket healed, which is
also
very
incentivizes
different.
Your DPS to not die and be
Right,
dumb.
to not stand in red things. But I think also, just not taking damage in general incentivizes that. So I think it's very interesting because this is something that I don't think we've seen from a secondary stat yet, which is...
Damn. That is refreshing.
How about now? Let's see. Let's see.
No.
Come on.
Maybe.
Come on, technology, work for us.
Oh God.
Daddy needs a new podcast.
Oh.
I don't know, roll this die. It doesn't look like what you think it is. It's a rolling die.
There we
I
go.
have two- wait.
Yeah. No, it's back up. It's back
Yay!
up.
Hey. Oh, yeah, Moose is like, oh my god, thank God, I finally run out of vines to show people.
Oh! All right, cool. We're back. We back. What up, dogs?
So, I'm gonna, like I said earlier, I'm gonna blame Tony Ray for all this. If it goes wrong, if it broke, Tony Ray's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Just
All right.
sorry, Tony. It really is. So for the third time,
I got you.
yes, you do. For the third time, we were talking about how the secondary stats, in this case, Vigor, we're actually promoting more group play than individual play. In the case of Vigor being the more health you have, the more damage you have.
Trying to get this under to be quiet. So, yes. So Vigor, if your team can keep you healed up,
Yes.
then you deal more damage, which is interesting. That's not really a dynamic you see in secondary stats currently. Usually the secondary stats, as far as I can think of, the secondary stats currently only reward your own personal behavior as opposed to also rewarding behavior that your team exhibits. So, for example, a healer keeping you healed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm slowly getting back on. I still got to pull up notes. I don't have notes up, so I can't.
Great.
I can't help.
It's totally fine.
You don't need help. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the rest of those stats are because they seem really unique and like they bring a whole new dynamic to building your character. For example, don't build Vigor if you have crappy healers.
Well, this is my
Or if
question.
you're bad at getting out of the bed.
Or if you're
Tanks
bad at
like
getting
this,
out-
the more health you have, the more damage you can do, help them balance out.
Well, this is my question to you guys. What's your opinion about all the pitchforks and everyone coming out and being very, very upset about it?
Part of the pitchforks is because we don't know specifics yet. That's fine. It's a knee-jerk reaction. I'm a little okay with that. We won't know anything until we get onto the PTR to test it for ourselves. So
Exactly.
I would like people to put the pitchforks down until you have a legit reason to put them back up.
It's perfectly reasonable to be concerned, and we have a lot of theory crafters in the community who really love crunching numbers and getting in there. The beta will have access to all of this stuff. They'll be able to get in, crunch numbers, check it out. So if they haven't signed up for beta yet, sign up for beta. Because
Do it. Do your part.
that will be your preview,
That's
and then
right.
you'll be able to give us all the feedbacks. Every single one of the feedbacks.
And it's not just stats that got changed. We're actually getting more and new items. We're actually getting a new... Is it a dungeon or a story instance?
It's a story instance. So Alpha Sanctum is a level 15 story instance, kind of like the Drusera instances, and it shows a little bit more insight into the different Elden orders and all of that. So it's pretty cool.
And what did you do with this one?
I did nothing.
You did nothing. It's like, there's
played it.
rewards that you get afterwards. I deal with those.
Not even that, but I played it once.
Awesome.
And we actually do have a
Pretty.
little bit of video from the Alpha Sanctum a little further down in our notes. You'll be able to see a little bit what it looks like from an older build,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Yes. See, everyone
answer's
agrees
yes.
with me on that one. There's a few more big... There's a few more bigger changes.
All right, there's a few big changes that these articles were talking about. For example, sprint is now always on outside of combat, which
Yes.
is apparently something that a lot of people have been scratching their heads over.
So yeah, there's a lot of concern regarding this particular change. This is how it works, just to let you guys know. I've clarified this in the forums, but just to reiterate, it's a toggle. I think currently it's bound to numpad period, but I think it's rebindable. You can do whatever. And when you hit that button, you can switch between walk, run, and sprint. And there's no resource anymore outside of combat. It's infinite no matter what you're doing. And you can just switch between all three of those at any given time. In combat, it switches to run being the default speed, and your resource bar is back. You can hold down shift to sprint. The same thing that happens in game currently happens in combat.
Which is awesome, because trying to get from one place to another with my feet while not in combat is slow and tedious and annoying. And it's like, I've been doing this thing in dungeons when traversing from one pole to another pole, when I'm trying to figure out what the most efficient way to sprint and then use my urgency, which is my movement ability, and what the fastest method of combining all those things is, because urgency gives you a speed boost. So I have to sprint until I have 50% and then walk until I have full sprint, and then use urgency and then sprint till I have 0% and then wait for it to recharge while I'm walking. It's just dumb. But it's nice to just be able to all right, I'm gonna just use urgency on cooldown and hold the W key and get there as fast as I get there.
So there's a quick question from the chat, and they ask, Lethality asks, can we still use the shift sprint key in the open world?
Well, yeah, it's just in combat, though. So out of combat, shift sprint doesn't work because sprint is infinite if you have it toggled on. It's whatever speed you have toggled on at a given time.
Okay. That was such an odd change for me that I like the fact that you have some clarification on it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And also, we have a big thing about primes. So primes got a massive change coming into Drop 6. Now, if you've been playing through the game or leveling through, you'll notice that you'll be running into these giant red things. Why does a giant red thing have interrupt armor on it? Why is a giant red thing hitting me? Why is a giant red thing owning me? And why am I dead? So Gordish was one of the... CRB Gordish was one of the team members that were put onto the primes team and the rares team. And he did make some clarifications on the official forums that explain why this change is happening. So this change is they're being moved around. They're not going to be on the periphery. They're not going to be on the edges of everything. They're just not going to be smack dab in the middle for the most part when you're trying to do your questing stuff. And he mentions that at launch they weren't implemented as well as he had hoped and as parts of the team had hoped. So what they're going to do with Drop 6 and the free-to-play transition is make them more of a ramping challenge throughout your leveling experience, and make them open to people that are leveling.
Honestly, I like them a little better as incidental pulls. I really liked having I really have to kill this one mob. It's surrounded by 3 challenging mobs. That was my favorite thing in the world. I love that so much. so much, especially in daily zones, because you're like trying to like farm, a certain mob for a certain daily quest, and there's the opposite faction trying to gank you, and then you're just like, I'm gonna walk over here and hope that this aggro's on you because you hit it on accident, and it works a lot, and it's really funny, and it makes me really happy. Yes, and I do pull all the reds all the time.
Actually, you just answered the question. If loot for rares are going to change, that's another question.
They're getting a loot review as far as I know. I don't know what specifically is going to be on them, but they are getting looked at the very least.
Okay, cool. Let's see what's the next little piece of news on here since Doc ran away.
Yep.
Let's see. Krug, where were we?
Insta-junk sell button, I believe, is the next one.
Oh, you mean the thing that has been on add-ons since day one? That piece of
I've had since day one because add-ons America.
That's awesome. I'm
Yes.
finally happy that that's in existence. I'm confused why it didn't exist from the beginning, because I mean, unless you separate your bag by types, you just had crap everywhere, and it was just absolutely impossible. Yeah.
I'm gonna take your word on that because I never experienced it.
Oh.
And something else that's really interesting, you can now set navigation points on the map, which I actually don't like. Does it show you how to get like an arrow, or not an arrow, but like a line as to how to get there? Like, what's a navigation point?
I don't have any info on that.
I think, and this is just pure speculation, but like, have you ever played? I mean, you've played Witcher, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in Witcher, when you go to your map, you can like choose a secondary point in which you want to go to. So there's like, here's that quest, but I want to go over to this point to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
So when you do that, it actually shows up on your mini map in what direction it is. So if you've got your mini map and say you want to go to this top right corner on your mini map, it's going to show you like a star or something.
Oh, I'm dumb. So you could set navigation points before, but you had to talk to a guard to do it. So like, for example, if you talked to a guard and said, "Where's the guild housing thing?" and then it would like
specific.
It would blink on the map.
Yeah, but
this
you
couldn't works way better now.
Location.
Yeah,
that's good.
This is more, from what I understand, is a choosable location versus a specific like, I want to find something in this main town. This allows you to go, if you know where,
like, I want to go into the middle of this field where there's nothing. You can mark that.
Hey, I'm gonna mark where Scorchwing is. And the next question is, will it work for party? That's the question. Is if I'm in a party of 5.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
She's like, I can't talk.
I don't know.
That would be really.
I know
cool.
nothing.
That would be really awesome if it could, because if we're all in a party and we go, hey, I want to head over to Scorchwing. I don't know where Scorchwing spawns, and you can just mark on your map, and and all of you can meet into one location versus waiting for a scientist to get there and then everyone else being sucked there.
I'd totally use it.
The ice box cometh, something that we have been talked about and shown. I think it was Gamescom when it first was.
Yeah, Gamescom last year.
We've been talking about it for a long time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It was talked about for a while, and it's finally showing its lovely face. And of course, my video is not set up to show you because I'm a horrible.
And they're calling it the Cryoplex now.
Yes.
It'll be
there was an internal movement to get it called the Tundra Dome, but
why wasn't it the Tundra Dome?
It's the Cryoplex.
Welcome to the Tundra Dome. Did not choose Tundra Dome. Who made that choice?
Caydiem, where were you in that
People
debate?
who were not me.
Not my fault. Don't spam my Twitter.
Hey, it's okay.
Oh, that'd be the greatest meme ever. Welcome to the Tundra Dome.
Well, you can still use it in game.
Yeah,
We're going to.
Stopping you.
We're going to.
Okay, like gangsters, get to work on that add-on. Welcome to the Dungeon Zone. Gat like.
Yeah, we've been heard about this for a while. It's a dual level instead of a singular level PvP match where it has drop down holes, and we've kind of seen this in Halls of the Bloodswarm, but we haven't seen it in a 3v3 or 5v5 battleground. So this is super exciting. I'm really hoping that this will introduce. I'm really hoping that this will introduce more people doing battlegrounds, or not battlegrounds. I'm sorry.
The major question
arenas.
I have about it is how will the verticality of these moves be affected by the two stories?
As in, like, are you going to take fall damage?
No, like the X values of the abilities. Like, say, Spellslinger's True Shot versus a Warrior's Augmented Blade or something. Like, how
They tend to be able to hit vertically. You can normally hit from another story.
Oh, okay. So, but that would be an issue. Wouldn't that be an issue where if you're on the second floor and someone's on the first floor, or vice versa, where if I'm on the bottom floor with my charge shot and I go...
Well, from the videos that they've shown, like it's pretty good. It's pretty much solid, except for there's the hole that drops down, and then there's the outskirts. I mean, I think it's very similar. I know I already said Halls of the Bloodsworn, but where there is a second layer, but if you're underneath it, you can't get hit because you can't shoot directly down.
There is a strat in Halls of the Bloodsworn where if you have an overwhelming force on the point and you're defending that point, and it's the last, specifically this works for like the last point. So you have those two ramps that go up to the side points. If you stand on those ramps as a Spellslinger and just shoot down, you can hit the whole thing from both sides. And like they all take damage, but they can't shoot up to hit you unless they jump.
Yep.
So it's just like massive death wall of Spellslinger abilities, and you're just like, I'm leaving. And then you just like go off to the side points and try to kill them. But then they got you off the point, so they have accomplished their goal. So I'm afraid that stuff like that's going to happen in this too, but we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure somebody's going to, find a way to take advantage of
so
the
there's a quick drop down. The question is there going to be a quick jump up? Because there's the ramps around the side, but I haven't seen any sort of maybe jump pad that launches you up so that you can get from a different angle other than the two ramps. Sure. That would be intriguing to see. There's also we haven't seen the whole map, so we've seen angles and we've seen parts of it, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. I like PvP a lot, so this is what excites me.
Oh, really? Do you like PvP? Is that a thing?
Never got that impression. Really.
Yeah, it's really just completely first time I've
There's something called PvP in WildStar? That's weird. What does that do?
It's an ability that every character has. It's called player versus player. It's great. It's basically the ability says Indigo dies.
So the next piece of information, which I know a lot of people are super excited about, and maybe Caydiem can talk about it, which is neighborhoods.
Yes. Neighborhoods are pretty sweet.
Everyone has been awestruck over neighborhoods. Everyone is loving it. 5 players, player plus 4 others, can band together housing plots up to 20. Original 5 plus 15 more. Interesting. Okay, I haven't read all of it.
Yeah, so it's the original. So the original 5 people can create a neighborhood. I like communities, but the official name is neighborhoods. So you and 4 people can create one giant housing plot. Another 15 people can also get redecorating rights.
So neighbor rights. Or I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
roommate?
Pretty much.
Roommate rights.
Essentially, yeah. There are 5 housing plots that belong to those 5 people, and then 15 people on top of that.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So all your alts or all their alts can still get on and mess around with stuff and get it ready for massive block parties or a giant campaign. You can do a mini campaign in a neighborhood now. The question is, would you actually have multiple biomes essentially? You'd have part of a neighborhood be desert themed with the ground, and part of it would be covered in ice. I mean, I don't know if you talk about that,
but I am not certain.
What about Sky Train? Doc's just
I don't know.
Do want.
Okay, obviously don't take our words for it, but it's possible. Just because you have a dev on does not mean anything is 100% set in stone.
No, but you can give her ideas.
Lots of ideas. I've heard tea sets. I've heard goggles on heads. I've heard
goggles on heads.
I've heard space taco trucks. I've heard lifty mounts.
I just want to say, Cadillac in chat is going to quote, "Start a gang to rep his hood."
And that is a perfectly valid.
You come to the wrong neighborhood.
Which is awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. I really like the idea of having a lot of people with their own individual plots that you can all kind of interact with. And
I just thought about this. We could totally RP the entire Warriors movie inside of one neighborhood.
You know what I'm looking for?
Yeah, we could do so many things.
I'm looking for.
Unsuccessful has a question in chat. Asks, will the decoy limit be restricted to 2,000 or will it be combined to be a 10k decoy limit? As far as I know, it will be the 2,000 per plot, and since there are 5 plots, that means it's going to be 10k.
Wow. That is insane.
It's also worth noting, as you may have, if you've ever looked at the shape of the housing plot, you may notice that they don't exactly fit together like puzzle pieces. There is communal areas between the 5 plots, and I believe everybody can build on those.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
So there'll be like an actual transitionary space between housing plots.
Yeah, because they don't fit together. So there kind of had to be one.
This thing is massive. Oh my gosh.
Very large.
And it'll be testable when the PTR comes up, correct?
Yeah. Actually, I don't think so. Because as you may have seen in the articles, this is not actually coming as a part of this main. It's
not coming out right away.
Yeah, it's coming out later. There's some stuff we need to fix, some stuff we need to refine. But it is coming out soon.
Yeah, it seems like a quite large technological challenge, like going from, because I'd imagine that if the housing or if the decor limit was 10K, you'd be able to just like put 10,000 of one thing in one little spot and just like, hey, I wonder if that's going to crash the game. Which, by the way,
think there's like 2,000 per.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be 10,000 overall, because I'm sure that they're going to have some, like, you know, when you have housing plugs that you can't build on, it's got the like the shield, the invisible shield.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if those exist when your houses connect to each other.
I wouldn't either, but the first thing I'm going to try is to just cram as many decor items as I can.
That is the first thing you should try, because that's the point of PTR.
Oh, it's going to be good.
I mean, technically they're going to hate you for it, but also going to like you for it.
No, that's what
if you actually break it, you could always ask for a Wrecking Crew title.
I'm pretty sure that when they described the beta, they said that the servers are going to be crashing bad. Like, that's kind of the goal. Like, that's what betas are for. To test and make things crash.
So everyone, when PTR shows up, give it a little bit of time and be able to test out neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So let's move on to loyalty. We got a little more information on that. So first and foremost, like Donatelli said, it is a thermometer that never runs out. It'll always rise as you continue your signature status, as you buy cred, as you buy boxes, and etc., etc. And they're gonna, I don't know, it's interesting. You can still free to play everything with Omnibits. You can if I'm not mistaken, reading that you can actually use Omnibits towards loyalty items. Or did I read that really oddly?
I'm not certain as to the specific stuff regarding the store.
This one's like just more of an enigma to me than I realized. I was like, hey, a little more loyalty information. Okay, I don't know how the Omnibus part fits in, but they did actually give us some examples of loyalty rewards.
Oh,
there's
awesome.
a miner hat you can grab. There are, most importantly, a new pet. That's only through loyalty. The Furlope.
The Furlope, yeah.
It's adorbs.
It's a chipmunk with chicken legs and a giant acorn.
Yeah, it's adorbs.
If you haven't squeed yet, go ahead and squee now. There you go, that's what I wanted.
Is that how you squee?
Now, there's an interesting part of this. They said you can get upgraded crafting abilities, reduce res timers, and even complete access to social systems, which is everything blocked by the free-to-play access. Or not blocked, but there's bonuses given to signature status. So does that mean you could technically acquire additional stuff through loyalty that would bypass the free-to-play block? That's interesting.
I think the whole idea or premise behind it is that you can not pay for things and get the entire game. I think from everything that I've read from Carbine and have heard through news sources is that the whole point is that everything that's in the game, if you pay for the game or if you don't pay for the game, you have access to all of it. So if you have if you're paying for it, it's easier to get because you're automatically rewarded these points that you can use. But you can also grind Omnibits and grind all this other stuff to get those things. It will just be more difficult or take longer because it's think of it as, you want to buy this $100 item. If you subscribe, you get $100 a month. Well, if you don't subscribe, you get paid in pennies. You know what I mean? And every
you'll still be able to attain it, but slowly.
It's just going to take significantly longer. But again, that's just my assumption, and I think this is an awesome way of going about it because the problem I have is like if you're paying for a game and you don't have access to absolutely everything in the game, or even if you're not paying for the game and I don't have access to it, like I have to buy something with cash, bothers the shit out of me. And I like every game that I've ever played where it's like, you want this? $10. I mean, like nothing else. I can't do anything else in the game. Nope, $10. So I'm excited. So
yeah, it's interesting. We have one more big piece of news.
Well, actually, real quick.
Okay.
So I am wearing forehead goggles. As you may have noticed. And I'm doing this.
Or gadget?
Gadget. And I am doing this in part to troll Moose, but I'm also doing this to confirm that yes, in fact, the forehead goggles that everybody wants that they saw in beta will be in the game. Not in the store, but like actually giveable like in the game.
Legit exclusive.
Yep, I put a bunch of costume items in the game. I'm not saying it's going to be easy to get, but
challenge.
You know, I don't know if you wanted the space helm ever, maybe.
Oh,
you could get that.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
I'll take
The
that.
space helm.
He was like,
Wait, let me do that one more. Wait, I'm goggles and space helm. I'm in. Let's do this.
Yeah. So there are a number of costume items that people have been asking for. I made sure that a lot of them were in, so you can get them.
And as of right now, they'll be in the game, not so much tied to the cash shop.
Right, not tied to the cash shop. They'll be completely in the game, like completely on their own. So yes, people who are worried about all the cosmetic stuff ending up on the store, don't worry about it. We're still putting tons of cosmetic stuff still in the game. This is one of those examples. So they will be there for you in this big update as well.
is it weird that the thing that I'm most excited about is like the skull mask thing?
The miner hat? Yeah.
The miner hat with like where it changes your face to look like a skull? That thing is really cool. Krug's like, what the hell is that? Just, it's under loyalty rewards. Just, it's
It's
awesome.
one of the level 1 loyalty rewards. It looks kind of like how with the Marauder hat had the tri-tip, but it had a weird Marauder face mask. I kind of wish it was just the tri-tip, but in this case with the miner hat, I'm kind of okay with the skull mask on top.
It's cool.
If you just want a hard hat, that's also in the costume pieces.
Boom.
Oh, snap.
Nice.
Boom.
Now, we have one more big piece of news before we are going to bypass our community stuff this week because we want to talk about some really cool stuff, hopefully. The Chinese client is incoming. For those of you that do not know, WildStar and NCSoft have been looking to expand their player base and looking to expand their borders on the game. And they finally got the go-ahead to start work on a Chinese client. There's been a few interesting things. Now, for those of you that don't keep in touch with like cultural differences between different areas, the Chinese government.
What you say next? I'm just saying.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this: that there are certain cultures and expectations in China that the American and European markets don't really think about. One of which being the way we represent the dead or dying or anything that could talks about decay or something. And in Chinese culture, they really don't like that. The sensibilities are in that case are much different than ours. So if you're playing like a Mordesh or you're playing in the strain areas and you have a friend that's going to go into a Chinese client, those things won't actually be the same. But for the most part, content-wise, it'll be a one-to-one translation, minus translations.
And new faces that they get. They're also getting new face style. Now they said 22 exclusive pets, but Caydiem said something very
good.
different.
Put me on the spot. Yeah, those pets will be coming to us as well.
Awesome.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, because there was a screenshot of Pappy in front of a video wall with all of these pets, and everyone went, "Oh my god, those are the best pets ever! I want them! Oh my god!" Because of course everyone loves pets, and let's be honest, they're pretty awesome. And everyone's like, "Whoa, wait, guys!" And even in our Facebook chat, we're like, "Oh my god, pets!" And Moose is like, "Whoa, guys, exclusive to China," and we're like, "No."
Now, I had a running bet. How long would it take before the community started asking for it or demanding it? It lasted about a day.
Do you see those pets? There's a mini maw. It's like a metal maw, except it's mini.
Yes, I did.
I saw a mini Trask, which I really want.
Yes.
I saw a Mauser. That's a Mauser. You can't tell me it's not a Mauser. In like the third row,
It's
next to. It's so cool.
Yeah, they had, and then everyone was talking about the Panda armor, which is also currently exclusive to. Did you not see it?
I didn't. I scrolled up from the pets and I was like, oh, that character behind him is wearing panda armor.
That is the Chua in panda armor. Yes.
Oh.
I knew it. Now, but that's supposed to be a Chinese exclusive at the moment.
I don't give a fuck.
Honestly,
I will buy a Chinese version and just play in China because I want the panda armor.
There will be proxies involved.
You really want to sit with the dev right here in the room with us?
I don't think she cares if I use a proxy or not.
I know it doesn't change how the game works, or like, yeah.
As long as you
changes my IP address, bro.
And his having to deal with the delay.
Moose, Krug's moving to China. Yeah, that's actually the step I'm taking. I'm just going to pack up and move to China. Peace. We're not doing this podcast anymore. Bye.
It'll be really, really early in the morning for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there has been a petition of people asking for the new face options for the Panda armor, obviously the new Data Drifter Panda Tokyo Drift model. Whether or not we'll see it come live, it depends. I guess if you guys, I'm not saying don't, I'm saying if you guys are really, really want it, you could always ask the forums, ask politely, and say, hey guys, we would like to see if it's possible. No guarantees. Obviously, Caydiem right here is like, look, it's interesting,
Hey.
It's nice.
I know you guys want them. I know. And, anytime we announce any kind of cosmetic stuff, like, I know it's like, oh my god, I want that now.
Gamescom top hat.
I have that, by the way, so...
Oh, I'm so jealous right now.
That was her doing this.
But, yeah, I mean, just go ahead and post on the forums. Let us know what you think about it. We're definitely still listening. Don't worry about it.
Now, this is and this is me, and not really a question for you because but for the group. But what is your guys' opinions about region-specific content? Like, we understand because culturally, that's something completely different. Like with the exposed bones, I get that. But things like having face-specific or having pet-specific, mount-specific, stuff like that. What is your opinions about having region-specific content?
Now, if we're talking about cosmetics, 90% of the time I'm okay with it. Having different faces and mostly different faces are there to make sure that the local players get an attachment to their character faster. A lot of the Asian features are specific to Asia. Just because, some characters might like rolling more hard, angular features, bigger jaws. But if you're a first-time player and you like to have a proxy of yourself in the game, having features that resemble you will give you more of an attachment to the character and the ability and want to play more.
But if you're
that being said,
Chinese American who is a first generation or even second generation, wouldn't you also want that in America?
That's what I'm saying, is that could easily change. I mean, I think that's fine. See? As for actual content, as long as it's not content like progressive content, I say it's fine. Having region lock stuff like the Gamescom top hat, like the Tokyo Drift Data Drifter, I think that's fine. I don't see an issue with it. Pets and whatnot, that's fine. But
I think it's extraordinarily insulting that the Gamescom top hat was not given to me because I think that is Carbine specifically telling me that I'm not dapper and classy. Which I am.
The next time I see you in Game Crew, I'm going to put it on just for you, and you won't even know it's me.
And just dance around him. Dance around his corpse.
/ kill Krug, STOS. Yeah, I really don't care about it. Like, it doesn't really mean anything to me. I have my character. I like the way my character is. There's going to be more stuff added to our. It's not like they're going to start only adding things to that client. Like,
No, and that's not what I'm. That's
like
what
we're going to get stuff. It's going to be cool, and then we're going to use it, and then they're going to get stuff, and it's going to be cool, and they're going to use it, and that's really how it should work. Just don't pay attention to it. Close your eyes.
Honestly,
Don't look
the face stuff will show up eventually in cosmetics as the game goes on and as it has more years under its belt. So it doesn't bother me at all.
He said speculating heavily.
So my thing
It
is,
happens.
I
It always happens all
don't
the time.
have an issue with region-specific firsts, as in the Asian market gets the more Asian-esque faces, or it gets the more Asian-esque like pets or mounts or whatever. Like, I get that them being first because that's the region that they've designed them for, but having region-specific content only be in specific regions kind of hurts the game, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because you're now designing, unless you have a specific team in China only designing for China, and even if you do have a team in China only designing specifically for China, that means that you are now having two different groups of people designing content for different regions that could be doubling for all regions. So you could have more things in the cash shop, more things.
Waste of resources.
Yeah, exactly. You're only creating something for a specific region versus having them in all locations, so that more people want to fight to get the panda armor, more people want to fight to get the Tokyo Drift mounts, like stuff like that. I'm fine with region specific firsts, but I think having region specific content across the board, like, oh, you can only get this if you're an NA player, like whatever. That's my thought. I don't have like if they decide to go that direction, I'm okay with it. Yes, I know Tokyo is in Japan. I am aware of this.
That's my fault. I keep calling it Data Drift or Tokyo Drift. That's what it seems like. It's like Akihabara just vomited over the Data Drifter, and it's a Chinese release.
I like how that was Caydiem instead of like calling you out with her voice.
She should have called it out.
She was nice enough to put it in chat.
Hey, I try to be nice sometimes, occasionally.
What is its official name? Does anyone know?
We don't.
Heck, I don't know.
Okay.
Cool. It's called Cool.
The Cool Mount. All right.
Cool Mount.
Called someone had a 5-year-old slap stickers on it. It looks like to me. It looks like my daughter took a bunch of panda stickers and ran around Data's Drifter. It went.
But does my comment make sense to you guys?
It does make sense. I totally understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think
Region
region locking things basically wastes them for the other region. So you put this time and effort into something that could have been used across the board, and since it wasn't, you kind of wasted that effort.
I just know that it doesn't bother me as much because I realize as
But
a
yeah,
game,
it doesn't. I don't.
it'll show up already.
and it's not one of those things where I'm just like, I'm angry about it. It's just more of like a logical thing for me. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's cool, and like that's really awesome, and I think it's cool that but.
Although I will say, when you think something is illogical, you get really angry at it. That's like how you work.
Yeah.
Indigo's the Hulk in secret. Anyways, I'm slowing the group down.
All right, so we have one more thing to announce before we go into some awesome questions to talk to Caydiem a little bit more.
Indigo's awesome. Is that the thing we're announcing?
No.
A little bit. No, not really. So, like Caydiem mentioned earlier, this Tuesday, Wednesday, July 1st,
you're the worst.
apologies, at 10 a.m. PDT, the live stream is coming back up to talk about the in-depth stuff, like the stat changes with Steven Engel, and I heard someone's coming out of back behind the scenes to help lead that charge with Didi, so keep an eye on that and get ready with your spiders. And afterwards, from 11:30 to 1 PDT, Steven Engel will be doing an AMA on the WildStar Reddit. So if you have any questions to ask, please go over to the WildStar Reddit, submit your questions. Obviously, positively, it's some way that can give communication instead of, why is this not like this? Give me this now. And hopefully we can see and get some more information. So we did have a bunch of community stuff, but...
Wait, there's one... we do have to go over one thing in this because we promised that we would when it happened. Enigma released their class guides, which are all really cool. It's on their forums, so go and check them out. They're super effing useful.
Yeah,
like,
they're not end-all be-alls, but they're great.
Right. I mean, they probably are for PvE, but we're not going to say that. I went through the medic too. So it's broken down by class and by role. I went through the medic too, the healer medic and the deeps medic. I learned stuff. I learned a lot of stuff, and I've been playing.
I learned how not to be bad.
And they're like up to date for the current drop, and it's just awesome. I'm not sure exactly how updating them is going to work, if that's going to happen or not, but in their current state, I think they're very, very, very useful, and I really think you should check them out.
How frequently Enigma raids, they'll be pretty up to date, pretty consistently, and as they change leads and for each class, they'll have them updated.
To all y'all Enigma people and Freya, thank you very much for the glides. They're very cool.
They are amazing. Check them out.
I want to disagree with the magic on spell slingers, but it's just me. Anyway, we'll talk about other community stuff next week. We're going to talk to Caydiem a little more because she does many more things besides troll us in chat.
That's mainly what I do.
Job number
for
one,
those of you,
troll us in chat. Job number two.
She's like the time travel for podcasters. Sits there above the wall just watching us flail miserably. Oh my god, we're going horribly. Yes. So Caydiem, for those of us who don't know exactly what you do at Carbine, can you explain to us?
Sure. I am the ship hand expert. There are other people work on ship hands as well. It's not just me, but I am ultimately responsible for them being awesome. So that's kind of my thing. And that cuts both ways, by the way. If it's less than awesome internally, I'd need to work to make it awesome. And in addition to that, I have been working on the holidays, namely Caydiem and Winterfest. I will not be working on future holidays, most likely, just because that's shifting. Don't worry about it. The guy in charge of it is a colleague of mine who I've worked on holidays for a very long time with, so I'm sure he's going to do amazing things. In fact, he's already done one amazing thing that I think you guys are really going to enjoy.
So I should thank you for vet ship hands?
Yes. That was a drum that I beat for a year. And then they happened. And I think everybody got sick of me saying ship hand and veteran in the same sentence at them if they gave me 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for beating that drum.
It added so much to the game. Like, it added so much more to
The ability of people to actually go do ship hands because they always forget about it.
Well, and then at the end of the game when you hit 50, you're like, oh, like, I'm not gonna do ship hands. They're like lower level stuff. I don't need to do that content. It's like, it's such a waste of awesome content, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people didn't do them when they were leveling up, and ultimately, it was kind of a missing stepping stone in our group content as well. You know, you hit 50 if you weren't in a big guild, you didn't really know what to do with yourself, you didn't really know like what instance content to jump into. The fact that veteran ship hands are there now allow you to jump in, get used to running that sort of thing, and then eventually move on if you want to.
So something that just came in through chat is willing to buy ship hand progression. So that is something that I'm going to agree with chat on.
Yeah, I'm a little scared of that suggestion because they did say that they might possibly charge for future content. I wouldn't like ship hands to be on that possible charging for content list.
No. They're talking about progression as in, you know, that bar at the top when you do dungeons where it says silver, gold, that thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we love that. There are actually medals in ship hands. They just don't use that UI. We have talked a lot about getting that UI going. It's going to take a little bit of retrofitting.
Sure.
But in addition to that, I think that people, when they talk about ship hand progression, they're also talking about progressively harder ship hands that are more challenging, and something we've talked about as well. I don't have any more info for you on that, except for that it is something that we discuss. I don't have any like official plans at this point, but it is something that we talk about all the time, and it's something we'd really like to get going at some point soon.
Now, do you work closely with the dungeon team? Like, do you guys work together, make sure you're not, like, repeating, like, content? Or do you guys, like, have an idea and you're like, I don't think it really works in a ship hand. Maybe it'll work better in a dungeon?
That was pretty much, like, the first question, which was, like, what's the process of creating a ship hand?
Yeah.
And what's the criteria that separates a ship hand from an adventure from a dungeon?
So, regarding the criteria that separates them, like, dungeons are all about the encounters mainly, right? Especially really awesome boss fights that are really complex and take a lot of skill to get through. So, if you're looking at something that's very, very fighting focused and not so much on the terms of the other mechanics, you find that to fit a dungeon most of all. Adventures are more about choosing your path and all the different mechanics that fit best in there. It's a pretty long and winding experience. Ship hands are meant to be pretty short experiences. There are a couple of exceptions, obviously, deep space exploration being the main one. But yeah, they're meant to be pretty short and focus on one or two major mechanics, and just generally kind of use a lot of the quest mechanics that we tend to use in the overworld as well. When I first came on to the dev team, they were essentially treated as extended quests, and I don't mind using a lot of fun quest mechanics in an instance. It's just kind of the natural extension of that.
So at one point, like, say you're designing for a ship hand, do you go, oh, this kind of mechanic or narrative we're doing is a little too big for the scope of ship hands? Do you move it on to another team, or do you work it within the narrative of the ship hands?
A lot of time we'll try to scope back the ship hand, for example. Every team kind of has their own thing going on, though we'll definitely talk to them if we have an idea. Like, if I have an idea for a dungeon and I think it would be awesome for a dungeon, of course I'll go talk to the dungeon team about it.
Now, when you guys are creating a ship hand and not like you're working on the next ship hand, right? Do you guys just throw a whole bunch of ideas out and see what sticks, or do you like what is your process for starting from the beginning?
So we're all a bunch of huge sci-fi nerds. You may have noticed, especially with it came from Fragment Zero. There's this huge
movie role. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pulp sci-fi sort of thing. Like, a lot of times our brainstorming sessions come up like, oh yeah, you remember this one episode in Farscape? Like, this happened. Like, that would be really cool. It depends on what we're doing. Space Madness, for example, is based on pretty much every single hallucination episode that has ever existed in any sci-fi series ever.
So now we're just waiting for the giant lizard versus you in a ship hand somewhere on the line?
We've talked about that.
Star Trek.
And, you know, for example, the Gauntlet is actually a very obvious Running Man pastiche, right? Like, there's one situation where, like, this is very obviously what we want to do and kind of play with, so let's go and have fun with that. So normally we start with the concept of, like, what's a really fun, really sci-fi experience that we can bring into the game?
Tron bikes.
And make into a fun thing. Yeah, Tron.
State Escape.
Lights, Goggles. No, light cycles would be crazy.
I'm waiting for the inevitable Firefly mention in a ship hand in the future.
They're like, oh
Dude.
wait, the costume piece that drops at the end is a brown coat. Like,
I'm just gonna say,
I'd wear
in a game, you don't have to give me any money for this, but it's an Eco's job gone wrong. And
talking about Tron
And then
light
someone
cycles
says, "You're really
and
pretty in
Tron
that dress?"
light cycles in chat, and I think that's hilarious.
Yep.
So, tying into the ecos, actually, I'm curious how tied into the lore are ship hands. I mean, we know they're the primary quest givers, the ecos, but we don't really see them outside of that, except for maybe Farside. Will they have a bigger role in lore, or are they kind of just tied only into ship hands?
So I think it's going to go a little bit both ways. We're actually expanding the concept of ship hands in general. We still want them to be very sci-fi, but you may have seen already, like, we have Captain Switch, who's a free bot. We have Cogs going in there in Deep Space Exploration. And we love using the ecos. I love writing Space Canadians all day long. It's a lot of fun. It's
the
just
best
loads of
description
fun.
ever.
But, you know, we also want to expand it to other groups and other races so you can see their how they handle different expeditions out there. And we're actually going to be changing the name to Expeditions at some point in the future.
A lot called Jane, just saying.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that we really have a good time playing with. We're going to be expanding it more than just ecos, and I think we're going to use ecos more in just general content as well. So
I was going to ask about that too. With the lore team, how tied are you guys together? Do you guys have a certain set of guidelines where, okay, look, don't use this in lore because of X and Y reasons, or do you guys just go nuts and they kind of go, yeah, no, cool, we're good with that?
So normally we have a concept and we try to work it into the setting as best we can. You know, normally we want to highlight a particular group, like with Gauntlet. We're like, the Darkspur Cartel makes total sense for this. And then we'll take it to lore guys and be like, hey, this is our idea. And they'll steer us right and make sure that we're not doing anything that's too out of the scope of what the story is, and make sure that we're not trotting on any toes if they wanted to tell a story about that particular thing in another piece of content. So, yeah, I mean, we definitely work with them and make sure that we're cohesive with the rest of WildStar. But generally, they let us kind of play around.
That's good.
Nice. So you kind of get free reign for the most part.
For the most part.
Unless they bat their hand aside and say, no, step it.
Just
That does
walk
happen
up to
occasionally,
Caydiem and
yes.
goes, no, that free bot's not here. So I know you talked about going into the veteran versions of ship hands and finally banging the drum and getting them. How difficult is it to tune these encounters? I mean, we have stuff like the massive Skeech Onslaught in Fragment Zero. We have the Gauntlet itself and how surprisingly difficult it is if you're not paying attention. Mm-hmm. How do you tune that against each other, or more specifically, how do you tune that between doing a normal version of it and a veteran version?
So we play a number of different ways. We all, like my team, all has classes that they're pretty familiar with, and a lot of times we will jump in first and we'll play with the classes that we know well, and then we'll switch it up and we'll play with classes that we are terrible at. We don't know all the classes as well. Yeah, so I have a level 50 engineer, level 50 Esper. So those tend to be the ones that I play in good times. Warrior's normally the one that I go to when I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, I will just press buttons. But
face, roll, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we tend to do, so we like to balance that out. But a lot of it's just straight up iteration, playing like, oh, that was too hard, oh, maybe that's too easy now, and tweaking the numbers here and there.
Do you guys have to tweak after any sort of balance changes with characters? So, for example, you know, warriors are, you know, changed completely, or not completely, but like the amount of damage that they do, or how a specific ability works. Do you have to turn around and go, well, crap, that basically makes it impossible for them to get through this encounter? Like,
our encounters aren't really balanced to that specificity. Normally, you know, it's just a pretty solid baseline. However, I can tell you that due to the stat changes, we are looking at absolutely every piece of content.
Oh, sure.
In this upcoming one, Japan's included, to make sure that they still play well.
Sure.
Yeah, because that's an enormous change. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So I saw a question in chat and was asking, will we actually see any more drama between the Minion and Exile and ship hands, or is it more of a world story kind of thing?
I don't know of any that's coming for ship hands in particular. There may be more coming in general, but I don't know where.
What was the ship hand that you enjoyed designing the most?
So I have had major creative design in 2 of the ship hands, actually, and that was Space Madness and the Gauntlet. I Space Madness was a wonderful, crazy trip, but I think that I probably had the most fun with designing the gauntlet. I think it's probably one of the most cohesive ones, and it really just feels nice and tight design.
I think
It's so
Indigo and I laughed in Wildstar the hardest during Space Madness.
Yeah,
It's
there's a lot of
is
that.
great.
when the Vendbot starts attacking you, like, and it's literally just out of nowhere, like, oh,
rainbows and
I'm being attacked by a
unicorns.
thing that my teammate can't see. Okay, so they're obviously some kind of like mental disturb. Oh my god, that's a vending machine. That's what the. Okay.
Yeah, because
I will say it does great when you have a team that's kind of on the ball with each other. If you do a pug occasionally that isn't paying attention, it can be a bit of a drag.
Mm-hmm. It can be, and
it's just hilarious though. Like that makes me so happy, so happy.
yeah, I mean, we turned one of the guys who's working on Chip Hands. He was super into making visuals, and I'm like, okay, here are the 3 major themes for the crazy parts. Go, make things, and he came back and he's like, here's this guy with a fork in his eye, and I'm like, whoa, maybe that's not. Maybe
It
that's
depends. You can use
like
the fork to swing it around and do AoE damage.
no. There was blood coming out of his eye, and I'm just like,
Well, that's awesome.
Okay, no, it's
We want
wonderful.
madness,
though.
not
I mean,
insanity. We want madness, not insanity.
It was wonderful. There's a lot of like little Easter eggs in there and everything that we put in. It's insane. There's the spider vendor that sells lemonade. He sells lemonade. Get lemonade from your spider vendor.
Now, speaking of Easter eggs and stuff like that, are you guys like encouraged at all, or do you guys get discouraged if that to add small like things like Easter eggs or things that you guys think is funny, or someone's signature, stuff like that?
If we have time, that's normally the thing. Like we try to make sure that the main mechanics and everything is working well, and then if we happen to have time to just kind of poke fun at something, we'll try to get that in. It really depends on the type of thing that we're doing.
So this
Try to be nice about it.
So this isn't a question. I don't. You won't be able to ask this question, but I would like you to go back and ask someone. The boss in Skullcana. What is his name? The final boss.
Mordecai?
Mordecai. Okay.
Moon.
On his, if you walk behind him and you look at his butt, he has a handprint on his butt that is clearly not his.
I put my headphones down at the wrong time.
Okay, so the final boss in Skullcana, Mordecai Redmoon, has a small little handprint on his butt. I don't know. I want you to ask.
Being the soccer tank, he probably focused on it a little too much.
Whose hand is that, and why did it leave a mark?
I'll ask. I may actually have an answer, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I have a suspicion.
that was
The mysteries of space.
I noticed that, but sorry, that was completely off.
It's okay.
Are you guys cool if we move over to holidays?
Yeah, we have a few questions of holidays. First and foremost, we're going to go into the second question.
Oh, okay, go for it.
So, Shades Eve is coming this year, this October. Yay! No, seriously, you have no idea how much I'm waiting for that.
And Krug has never ever experienced an MMO before this. I know we've told you this, or we've said it. So he doesn't understand the pleasantry and wonderfulness that is holidays in an MMO. And he's just like, whatever, I can deal without them. While Doc and I were just distraught this last year, and I know
Legitimately.
as equal, if
It
not
was annoying.
if not as much as you were disappointed that you didn't get to see them. My question about Shades Eve is there much change of how you designed Shades Eve last year to this year? Like, is it? I know we didn't get to
There
see.
must change from item coming in Shades Eve 2015 compared to that's what you sound like right now. These must change. Are the assets the same, or do you guys design new ones per year?
So as far as assets go, like, if people that data mine that stuff, you may have seen there were a number of them. There's a lot.
Yes.
Our team did
Hoverboard?
went above and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of stuff. There are a couple of new things, but only a couple because you guys haven't gotten the first batch yet.
Yeah.
And obviously, we'll find that out in October, rather
Of course.
than right now.
Yes. The question is will there be more housing released?
Holidays?
Oh boy, no. Look,
That one was
Wow,
for
way to put her on the spot there.
That one was for Blue. All right, that one was for Blue.
I answered him in chat.
I
darn
know,
it,
I know,
here's the
but I
Two
had-
words. Cash shop.
thing. We know that people want more Dash and Makari housing. We know, and man, it's something that we've talked about. I don't have more information on it than that, though.
In all honesty, I think it keeps getting pushed down the list for other stuff, like, I don't know, free-to-play content, you know, changing the entire way the system works and how monetary value comes in. Maybe. That's probably one of the possible reasons for it. But, you know, anyways, back to Shades Eve. What was your... what can you talk about on Shades Eve? Like, I don't want to ask you like 5,000 questions.
Really vague there.
No, I mean, so
I can
What
talk
do you
about
think about
designing.
Shades Eve, please?
like, can you talk about the
designing
lore?
the
Can you
holiday,
talk about
right?
the...
Like, I can't talk about what specifically is in it. I can't
Sure.
tell you like all those things, but I can talk about like how holidays are designed and all the different things that we think about when we do it.
Go for it, Doc. Ask a question.
Well, okay. First of all, this is more stuff with the rewards for holidays.
Yeah.
Are you guys still talking about how the rewards are going to be bound? Will they be pick up, soul, use on, or account bound? I know people are very curious about that.
So, as far as I know, most of them are going to be bind on pickup. So, if you would like these things, you should participate in the event.
Per character.
Yeah. Though,
Okay.
you know, I mean, there are some costume items which, if you
Yes.
put them in your hollow wardrobe, they will be account bound.
Okay. And on that note, we do have. I know we saw in the earlier on, like a year or two ago, we had part of the website that said, "Hey, here's the beta Shades Eve lore." Will they
Yeah, the
be
lore.
specifically Nexus flavored, like Shades Eve and what we've seen so far, or will they be more of like a direct mirror of the holiday? Like we had seen some lore for the Protostar Gala Extravaganza, which is essentially Christmas. Is it going to be more like, "Hey, it's Christmas, and here's Protostar flavored stuff"?
So, in all cases, it's a blend, right? Like, we have, in Shades Eve, you see this big talk about how this plague swept over Cassis and killed tons of people, and now there's this mythical boogeyman called Jack Shade, who...
Which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah. So, in all of the holidays, we have added a level of lore in them. All of them have lore to them. But they are also, at least in some way, connected to a real-world holiday, at least the ones we've made so far. And the reason why is because people get more naturally invested if it's something that they're familiar with. You know, during Halloween, around the latter half of October, you are interested in Halloween stuff. It's everywhere. It's all over the place if you're in the U.S., I should mention. And putting it in the game as well helps just kind of reinforce that you're already in the holiday spirit, and now you're in the holiday spirit in the game. But we also don't want to just slap Santa in the game and just be like, look, here's Santa, except he's a protostar. It's amazing. Look at his fake beard. Like, no, it's more than that, right? We want to absolutely ground it in our world and have a good time with that as well. So, yes, Winterfest is kind of like Christmas, but really in the sense that it is just unabashed, pure protostar consumerism.
Yay, capitalism, consumerism.
Just
I feel
buy
like there's a deeper
things,
meaning
please.
to all of this.
And they may happen to bring along a bunch of fake snow, but that's just kind of what they do with Winterfest. They're like, guess what? It's Winterfest now, and we put snowblowers everywhere. And
I
now
wouldn't be
there's snow
surprised if those snowblowers mutated something along the way. We have to clean up the mess.
Yeah, it's probably not good. They probably cut corners.
Well, for money, you got to keep a high profit margin.
Well, exactly.
So another question about holidays is that when they talked about Shades Eve for 2014 before they decided to move it, they were saying stuff like, we're going to have not just a hub where you get to participate in bobbing for Nexus apples or something, but there'd be stuff that would send you to different zones where you have to go and like take objectives that'll be sending you across the world. Will you guys still kind of be playing with that idea, or will you kind of just go with more, we'll keep it hub-based, centralized, where players can just come and experience it when they want to and then kind of move on with the rest of their content?
So, mainly it's centralized hubs. We have these holiday areas in the capital cities that will be decked out, and you'll be able to find most of the content right there. However, there will be bits and bobs in the general world as well. So, you'll be able to go out in the world, and you'll see little bits of it here and there. The main focus of it is going to be in the capital cities, at least for Shades Eve and Winterfest, though.
So it's more just nice, well, I don't want to make it so simple, but instead of it being actual interactable stuff, like you're being sent out there for a reason to go find bits of Shades Eve, or Jack Shade, it'll be more like, hey, this is a really cool skeleton graveyard pumpkin thing we find in like
Jack Shade.
Well, originally they were saying
It's
Jack
Castlevania
Shade
2
would
all of
be.
a sudden.
Well, I guess from what I had assumed and listened to was, hey, Jack Shade will be a presence throughout Nexus, and that players will have to participate with each other around the world to work against or with Jack Shade. And I didn't know if that was going to continue or be more of those. We're going to just pass by simple decorations.
You heard that.
That was never really a thing.
Like I said, I heard it a while back. I was probably hearing it wrong. It's been a few months.
It's okay. There is
That's why she's
a
here.
major piece of content in the holidays that does not take place in the capital cities. I'll tell you that. But yeah, you'll have to check it out to see what we did. But it's pretty cool.
Will we see weather or seasonal changes throughout the world? For example, if for winter, will we be seeing more snow across the planet, or
Across the planet? No. However, in the capital cities, there are some pretty major changes. You'll like there's snow all over.
Sure.
But like, yeah, not in the general world. That is a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of the data mine stuff we saw were like asset pieces that looked like they were replacing pieces from the capital cities with snow-covered ones or like Christmas light-covered ones.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure, and like speculation, I don't want to put Caydiem on the spot, but I think it's going to be like a Winter Wonderland status. Because that's what the data mine stuff looked like.
And
But
I know we saw
Protostar can't coat the entire world for snow. Like, that's a lot of money. They're not gonna do that.
Yeah,
It depends
that
if
does
you
sound like a
spread it
lot.
out just enough. Abominable
not like
snow
a-
Protostar Yetis?
I think Doc is more like Doc and I are at least thinking more of the.
We're getting grandiose here.
Well, no, I think we're thinking more of similar to how WoW did holidays, where it was like you would go to.
You mean how Caydiem did holidays in WoW?
I know.
Do tell.
More referring to how
See how wrong you are this time.
for Halloween you would go
I did
around
that.
because you said bobbing for apples. So in during the holiday season for WoW, you would go to all of the main locations and you would bob for apples. You would go trick or treating with the innkeepers. You know, there were specific events outside of the main city. For example, taking over the Headless Horseman. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there were events outside of the capital city. And correct me, is that what you were trying to aim for or talk about, Doc?
Yeah, stuff like that. I liked
Yeah.
my favorite stuff was interacting with the other faction, mostly because I believe there's not enough interaction outside of PvP with Dominion and Exile. I loved in other games, specifically World of Warcraft, going around and breaking jack-o'-lanterns in South Shore just to be a jerk. So I'm hoping that maybe I get to experience some of that in WildStar.
Yeah, there's not currently anything along those lines for Shades for Winterfest. I'm not saying there won't be anything like that in the future. But yeah, it's mainly focused in the capitals for a lot of it, and for the special areas outside of that.
Well,
Did you all see in chat Phineas T. Roto Santa?
Please, Papa Phineas.
It's not time yet. It's only June.
And I'm sure since this is our first holiday experience, there's going to be, this is the first rendition of it. I'm sure as each year goes on, it's going to grow and get larger and larger and larger. Just like every other game, every other game that has had holiday season, it wasn't this grandiose thing the first year that they ever had it. I'm definitely looking forward to Shades Eve. I'm looking forward to the content specific stuff. Can you say who's taking over holidays? If you're not gonna...
The name's probably not going to mean much.
Okay, new person, got it.
He's
invite
not new.
next year?
He's been the lead content designer for a while. He has now taken over events in general. He was with me on WoW for a long time doing holidays, so I have the utmost faith in that.
Awesome.
That's good.
Now, I'm curious. Do you like to pull a time travel from time to time and just observe players or groups as they go through content like Ship Hands and kind of laugh in the shadows silently as they just get wiped in the gauntlet?
I would love to. I actually don't have that capability, but I do kind of spy on people in another way, because I'm in there playing with you guys all the time. I have stood by each and every one of you at some point. You haven't known.
Wait, like
Ninja.
us?
Yes.
That's
yes,
weird.
you,
Oh,
you
what?
3 people. I have been next to you, all of you.
Now.
Yeah, I'm in there playing. I play both Exile and Dominion. I have 50 on both sides, and I love listening to what people are saying. I'm in a lot of the chat channels. I listen to people's feedback without them realizing that there's a dev listing, which is the best way to learn your feedback.
Right. Caydiem is the caller inside the house, is what she's basically saying.
Yeah,
it's coming from inside.
It makes me so happy when I know devs or find out that devs are actually playing the game outside of just their time developing the game. Because it's like during the day it's your job and that's what you're working on, that's what you're doing. But it makes me so happy and excited when I know that devs are actually going out on their free time and playing the game, because then they're seeing the content in a different eye. Yes, they technically work on it, but they're seeing like the actual way that you're supposed to be playing, because you're like, oh, you're playing a ship hand and you screw up and you go, okay, well, we're gonna reset this, and you guys go all the way back to the beginning and you reset it, and you're having to deal with dealing with pugs, dealing with lag issues or stuff like that you wouldn't normally be dealing with because you guys are working on a development side of it. So it makes me very happy. Yay, this is my happy hands.
Oh yeah, you see all sorts of stuff that you would never see. Just reading the forums and everything. And I love it. I love hearing what people have to say.
What is wrong with Doc?
Last stream, something really funny happened. Indigo and I were doing PvP, and time travel was in one of our PvP matches. And on stream, I said something to the effect of, like, I don't know what team I'm on, or I thought we were on this team, but we ended up being on the opposite team. And the next time I joined a match, I got, like, a server message that said, you were on team, or you're on red team, or something. Like, did I just get trolled? Like,
yes. The answer is yes.
That's why I know Caydiem was saying that it's not all just WildStar and everything else. She's a big fan of pen and paper D&D, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Oh yeah, I play tabletop RPGs all the time. I play board games. I custom paint amiibos. Like,
oh my god, that is awesome! Don't dare do that.
Don't you dare custom paint amiibos?
I'll talk about it in post show.
Outside of the world of WildStar, what pen and paper games do you play? Tabletop.
Oh, this is gonna start an edition war. I generally am currently involved in. I actually really like 4th edition. I don't like 5th edition.
Hey, someone else.
Please feel free to string me up. I feel that 5th is kind of rushed and a little weird. I also play Pathfinder. I'm in a couple games of Pathfinder right now. I also play Numenera. So that's a fun time.
I've never played Numenera.
I've never even heard of Numenera.
Pathfinder 4th edition I played. 3.5 played a lot. Clearly, if you play Pathfinder,
Yeah.
You kind of have to have 3.5 to play Pathfinder.
I own the 5th edition books, and I've read through them. I have yet to find a group that's willing to play 5th edition, so that's something.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how it was with 4th edition for a long time, too. Everyone was like,
yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Murder die.
People don't like change? Is that what you're telling me?
I think that's
people they're resistant to change.
Wait. People
Whoa.
in today's age that still play pen and paper RPGs don't like change is really what you should say.
So, Avid in chat asks me what my favorite pen and paper games are, and Paranoia would be my favorite one. I am normally somebody who DMs Paranoia. I am the person behind the scenes playing the computer and making everybody's life hell. I have introduced several of my coworkers to it. It is a great deal of fun.
Googling right now.
Do you ever get like inspiration for something that you put into the game that you work on from a pen and paper game that you're playing, or from like another game that you're playing?
Oh yeah, like hell. In WoW, it was really funny because I would put a bunch of people that I kind of had encountered in and had a good time with, like, as NPCs in the game, and then they would find their NPC and be like, wait, what? Who was this? Who did this? One notable exception was one when I put a guy into Brewfest, and he was so upset that he existed that he contracted the Horde to kill him. Killed the NPC because he was an imposter. So upset.
So then I should just assume that all of the pets that are named Indigo are after me, right? That's what.
Exactly. I mean, that's just
that giant ego.
It's the color that doesn't matter at all.
Nope. Yeah, just.
Sorry, come on. You're telling me
he'll never let us live that down now.
No, I won't. Would you? If there were
he's trying to say to me, I have stuff in the game named after me before you, and you'll never get your space taco truck.
You're telling me if there was a space taco truck in the game, you would not every single episode just be like, "There's a space taco truck."
Our UI background would only be the space taco truck. It would be like a little GIF that runs across the bottom every like 5 minutes.
Buy the space
just me
taco
and Moose
stand,
on a space taco truck.
Buy 4 tires. Done.
Moose actually made one from scratch. Just pretty awesome.
Moose did make one from scratch.
Yeah.
It's awesome. We streamed that a while ago.
I shall not rest. We need multi-person mounts just to run into our war zone.
You know,
if you had think about it,
they're not
devs
aren't gonna come on more if you just harass them
mounts.
Dumb shit the whole time. God damn it, dude.
This is every day. It's fine.
Yeah,
she's fighting for it.
No, she's not. Are there any other parts of the game that you are particularly involved with?
So I am in charge of the capital cities, not their initial layout, but I've been in charge of putting stuff in for a long time. There are a lot of little incidental changes coming to the capital cities as well in this coming patch, so that'll be good.
Were
Trying to make things convenient.
Were you involved with adding the? I don't see. It sucks because I'm the worst at the Exile city, even though I've spent more time in Exile than I have in Ilium.
Yeah.
In Ilium, all of the Dominion leads now have a location in that. Were you involved with that?
I think the person who was putting in the achievement was in charge of that. Actually, it wasn't necessarily me.
Oh, okay. I liked it, so I was going to give you.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
But
since you didn't,
they can go fuck themselves. There you go. Because.
So the question is, why does Thade still look like a refugee camp? It looks like a refugee camp in lore because the exiles are busy doing other things. It looks like a refugee camp realistically because it is a lot of work to change art in the city, and
because devs are busy doing things.
It's very hard to justify adjusting that over time. It's something that, dude, we talk about all the time.
It's also something that constantly updating a city to work with the living lore just takes too much. It takes some time.
It's
for everything
a lot
else.
of work. It really is.
Well, and not only that, it doesn't make sense to have it completely built up if you're starting unless you're making phased versions of the same capital city, which would be
that gets really dicey really fast.
Oh yeah, that's a horrible idea. You know, I think there's a couple of areas in the game where there's phasing involved, where it's if I've done sections of the map that Krug hasn't done, then we literally just will walk together and one of us will disappear, and we're like, "Where'd you go?" I'm still standing That I hate that, and I'm glad that they're not doing that, and that's probably why a lot of it still continues to look as a refugee, because when you land, you're supposed to be a part of the original group that's going out, and that's as much lore as I know.
Also,
time in MMO ends up being really weird.
Well, also, we're kind of stuck with this whole thing with the entity and Dracera, so cleaning up our bedrooms isn't really the prime thing we're worrying about right now in Thade. We don't just throw a blanket over it and call it done. We're a little preoccupied at the moment.
You're making shitty analogies. Gotcha. Gotcha.
My bed's made. I don't know if you.
Yeah, our guests took time to say, "Look, the bed looks really nice."
Mine is too.
What did you?
Not really, but
No.
I kind of went like this with the blanket. That's pretty much
okay. I think we should start wrapping it up a little bit. We'll go into post show, and we'll talk a little more about over there. So, Caydiem, where can we find you on social media?
So you can find me on Twitter at @tiscaydiem, TIS Caydiem. So, and you spell Caydiem Caydiem. So come and tweet me. I respond a ton. I answer questions there all the time. So if you have a question and it's something that I can't answer, I will definitely try to answer it for you.
She's pretty awesome like that. And you're pretty active in the forums too, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I do try to post when there's something I can talk about, yeah.
Nice.
Most of the time she goes, I have an answer, but I can't tell you.
Yeah, that really wins me friends when I say that.
Indigo, where can we find you?
You can find me, as always, at Indigo Jones QT on Twitter. You can also find me running the Q Times Facebook page, as well as the STOS Facebook page. But very, very soon, the STOS Facebook page is going bye-bye. So make sure, if you are following us on STOS, make sure to go over and follow us on Q Times, because that is where we are going to give out all of our future content coming from one location instead of multiple.
really hard to manage multiple locations like that, and it's probably a little easier for you guys to follow stuff from one location.
And speaking of which, Krug, where can we find you?
Krug can be found at KrugQT on Twitter. There's no longer an @strange_tales Twitter account. It is now at KrugQT, so you can keep following me. I'll keep talking about WildStar. I'll keep talking about other stuff. If you want to know all of the Strange Tales news, you can follow at _QTimes. That's _ QUEUETIMES. You can also email me at krug@qtimes.com. That's QUEUETIMES.com. And then if you want to email all three of us, you can email STOS@qtimes.com. That's QUEUETIMES.com.
And you can find me at DocQT on Twitter. It's the best way to reach me. As for myself, I am Doc. This is Strange Tales from Outer Space, episode 51. I have once again with me Krug.
Bye.
Indigo.
Good night.
Our very special guest, Caydiem.
Bye, everyone.
And that's it for all of us this week. We will talk to you guys later.
Wow, what noise
What the fuck was that sound?
Okay.